Welcome to our web exclusive. I'm Mike Montecalvo along with Eyewitness News analyst Lieutenant General Reginald Centracchio. We have in-depth coverage now of the Navy Yard shooting. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, General, on Wednesday said that the Pentagon would review the physical security of all U.S. defense facilities worldwide, obviously in response to the shooting that took place on Monday. Is this a procedure problem or is this a screening security problem?
I think it's a screening problem more than it is a physical security problem. You know, keeping in mind the whole premise of security, physical security, is to have people coming onto an installation who have credentials, such as an ID, perhaps some kind of a pass, access for a particular reason for being there, and certainly in this particular case, identification as a defense contractor. Once a guard sees that, then you go through, unless there's some reason that he detects that you shouldn't be going on. But that's the physical aspects of it. And you talked about the rest of the story having to do with personnel screening.
Well, Aaron Alexis obviously had been seeing a Veterans Affairs doctor and had been having some mental issues prior to the shootings. Is that where the breakdown happened? Should have been a red flag at that point?
I think so. You know, having been the security manager for the Guard for several years before I was the Adjutant General, there's a procedure in place and a protocol. When someone has a clearance ranging from either access to for official use only, confidential, secret, top secret, not releasable to foreign nations, those are all different categories, and you've got to monitor them. Anytime you see anything having at least presented itself as a red flag, you've got to do something. That means you call the individual in. It could be anything from financial problems, perhaps alcoholism, perhaps some kind of a family problem, certainly indebtedness, or something that would give someone stress that you would not want them to have access to information.
And we've talked so many times about the stigma, especially for soldiers coming back, let's just say from Iraq and Afghanistan, not wanting to open up to a doctor, let alone family members, and then having these types of problems. It's something similar to what happened here.
Exactly. You know, they mentioned on several occasions, at least his father did, that he had PTSD. I'm not sure if he was ever mobilized. That never came out as far as I know. He was a naval reservist, and perhaps he was at some extent, but PTSD doesn't necessarily mean you have to have its beginning at military service. He could have suffered a bunch of other things that put stress on his life and giving him a residual effect of PTSD. That, once again, needs to be identified, and it's a discerning factor as it relates to maintaining and retaining your access to confidential information.
Well, General Martin Dempsey said on Wednesday, he's the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that you should not be stigmatized for answering mental health status questions on forms. And that seems to be a problem where soldiers coming back will just lie or just skip the questions.
You're right. It continues to be a stigma. You know, for those who have some kind of an inclination as to, look, I've got to admit that I have a mental problem. That's hard to do. Same thing with if you have a problem with alcoholism or gambling or those kinds of things. To be able to admit it is the first step in being able to cure it.
All right, let's talk quickly, General, about how to obtain and retain security access. Does it go up the food chain, so many places that you can go with access?
Yes. First of all, you know, it starts at for official use only. Then it migrates up to confidential, secret, and top secret not releasable to foreign nations. Those are all different categories, but they're all based upon a need to know and a need to be there. So if you have credentials to be able to get you into that particular area or that facility on that base, then you're good to go, unless there's some other reason that's obvious to that guard that lets you through. But to get it, you go through a whole background check, either local or in some cases just local, but a national agency check, a background in a criminal investigation, all kinds of things that go into it, to include talking to your neighbors about whether in fact you're a trustworthy individual. And then a decision is made to either grant you a clearance or not. And the higher you go in that clearance access is dependent upon how deep they go into your background and whether in fact there's anything in your background that would preclude you from being awarded or being able to be extended that ability. And that's every so often. It's either 5 years or 10 years, depending upon the kind of clearance you have.
All right, General, we have about 30 so seconds left. Let's talk quickly about Syria. This Friday is supposed to be a deadline of the United States and the United Nations obtaining information about the chemical weapons used in Syria and what they have. Are they going to meet that?
I don't think so. You know, keeping in mind, there's a civil war going on in Syria. I think the rebels would like nothing more than to find out that there's something drastically wrong. So they're going to be feeding information that perhaps isn't so, and vice versa with the Assad government. I don't think that's possible. And once you do that, you know, after, let's say that they do agree on this, there's still a problem with Russia not wanting a military force to be part of any kind of solution. And that in itself is a problem. And even after they all agreed on that, to destroy these weapons is a Herculean situation. That cannot be done in a few months.
All right, General Centracchio, as always, thank you for your thoughts and thanks for watching.